Welcome to this deconstruction of a fantastic trick by Penn and Teller called Random. Now, this appeared on season 10 of the hit series, and I thought it would be interesting to turn the tables on Penn and Teller. Normally they watch a magician and try and work out how a trick is done, but this time we're going to watch them and then deconstruct their routine. Now, they performed this trick on Sierra. Now, she was helping them do a trick called Random, and don't get me wrong, this trick is a fantastic piece of entertainment. It wasn't just about the magic, it was about the routine of being random. Everything is random. The number, the card, the choices are all random. So in terms of entertainment, it was a great effect. Let me just explain really what the trick is all about for those that haven't seen it. The trick was just taking a deck of cards, and 4 cards were chosen at random, and she picked one of the cards to be her favourite. She then eliminated several piles of cards, so she was left with just a single packet of cards. She then chose which one of those cards she wanted, and it turned out to be her freely named random card. That was the idea of the routine. So what I thought we'd do is we'll go through this in stages. First of all, now the cards start out as just regular cards, and the first part of the routine, a card is selected by Sierra by just calling stop. As Teller thumbs down the side, she calls stop anywhere. When he cuts the cards and shows her, it's the 3 of clubs. Now, to prove a point, what Teller then does is to get her to choose another card randomly by spreading out the cards like this in a step fashion, so she can grab any number of cards. And as she takes out a block of cards, the card that she stopped at happens to be the 3 of clubs again. Now, as Penn and Teller told us, this was a force. We knew that, but they were making a point that the cards that she chose may not have been totally random. It was a bit of a gag put into the routine. Before we carry on, let's recreate the scene. A little bit of camera magic goes a long way. So what Teller does is that he writes this down. So she chose a 3 of clubs, and he writes it down here. They say that she didn't choose it randomly because she picked the same card twice, and they write 2 times down here. Then they get her to name a card. This really is a random choice. So she picks any card. Now, in the routine, she chooses the 6 of spades. She just names her favourite card. Now, I know some of you may think that Teller transmits some thought process invisibly to her brain to make her say that card, but trust me, it was an absolute random card, a free choice. I'm going to choose the 9 of spades, so I'm going to write this down. So we got the 9 of spades. Penn turns to a board that has the most frequently chosen cards, and he says it's 33. Now, I know that they chose a 6, but this is nothing to do with the trick. It's just for entertainment. And then they write the 33rd choice. Then, to prove a point, Teller spreads out the cards and lets everybody see that this is a regular deck. And the reason being is because it really is a regular deck. They ask Sierra to gather up the cards, so they're not touching this. She then shuffles it and she pulls out any card. Now, because she does this herself, we now know that not only was this a random card, so was this one. Now I'm going to go through and pull out the same cards. So she chose the King of Diamonds. So she pulled out the King of Diamonds, and that's exactly what they wrote down here. So they had the King of Diamonds, and this one happened to be on the chart the 22nd most frequently selected card. She's then asked to shuffle up the cards again to mix them up and pick another one. Now do remember that these numbers have got nothing to do with a trick. It's just for the routine, the performance of randomness that they were getting across there. So they had nothing to do with it. So at this stage, we now know that these three cards here were all chosen at random. Now, the next part we're going to skip over. The middle part we're going to come back to for a reason, because it needs a bit more explanation. When you're deconstructing any trick, it sometimes helps to look at how the trick ended and work backwards. They deal some cards into a total of 6 packets. When she named a packet, it really was a free choice. She could have had any of these. She said, I want number 2. Then Penn got her to roll a dice if she wanted to. She didn't have to, but she rolled a dice and got 4. And he said to her, do you want to use that, or do you want to use 2, or choose a different one? And the reason he was emphasizing this is because it's absolutely true. She could have had any number, but it so happens that she went for the number 4. How do we know that this wasn't a regular deck? Because not only did she choose number 4, but now they gave her the option of counting from left to right, which could have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or from right to left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she chose number 4, which could have been this packet or this packet here. And you can forget all the theory of, oh, they controlled her mind. It doesn't happen. We know that these cards weren't the cards we saw at the start of the trick. Okay, and that's because I believe that the 9 of spades, or in Sierra's case, they were all the 6 of spades. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the part of the routine that I skipped over, which was the middle part. We know that Teller had to swap this pack for another one. Now, what's special about this one? Well, if I turn it over, it looks okay until you get here, and then you've got all the same cards in the pack. And that's why I said to you, you need the table that they performed on, because I'm pretty sure under that table there were 52 packs of cards, all alike. Now these are called forcing packs, so they are readily available to magicians. We know that under that table was an assistant that we didn't see. How do we know that? Because the pack could not be set up until we knew what her favourite card was. As soon as Penn asked Sierra for her favourite card, she said the 6 of spades. Now in my example, I'm using the 9 of spades because I don't have a deck of cards that are all the 6 of spades, so I've only got these ones here. So when she said the 6 of spades, the person under the desk got the pack that's got 52 alike, all 6 of spades, and this is what they had to do. They place 10 regular cards at the bottom. They place 6 regular cards on top. At some point, and we'll look at this in just a moment, but let's carry on with the routine. So he's got this pack ready. All that Teller needs to do is create some misdirection. When they're moving the pens like this, you'll see his hand go off. I think he disappears like that, and it would have been that quick. Literally, as he drops this below, the person under the desk will pull these out and push these in. This would have gone out of sight for literally 1 second. That's all you need. And even the audience in the studio wouldn't have noticed, because at the time Penn was leaning over and pointing to stuff. Teller was turning side on slightly, dragging the pens out the way. I think the black pen he grabs and puts to one side. So there's plenty of misdirection going on there. He's now changed the pack. He's done the packet switch. You'll notice that throughout the routine, he holds the cards very low down. Okay, because as he's dealing, he doesn't want you to glimpse these cards. Now I'm going to point out in just a moment some freeze frames from the original presentation, and if you look closely, there's a couple of giveaways. First of all, when the original pack was held, so this was the original pack that he started with, at some point you get a slight glimpse at this bottom card. Now, although we can't make out the exact card, I believe it to be the 6 of clubs, but I could be wrong. But it's definitely not a picture card. It's definitely got plenty of white space and a couple of black dots. I don't know if they're spade or clubs, but you get a short glimpse. In the next shot, you suddenly get a glimpse at some point that the card is a picture card and it looks like a diamond. Now, because I had to zoom in, I couldn't really make it out until I viewed it on a very large ultra high definition computer monitor. You can just make it out. You may not be able to see it and you may disagree with me, but I'm pretty sure that this does not have white space on it or black dots. It looks like a picture and you can just make out a diamond. That's what I believe. Now you have to remember, Teller didn't do any shuffling here. This is the pack that he was holding a few minutes ago, and it changes. So he's changed the pack. Now why have we got 6 cards on top that are just regular? Well, because as he begins to deal these out, we want these on the bottom, and you'll see why in a moment. Now he deals cards out, and Penn and Teller talk about, well, Teller doesn't, but Penn says that he's going to deal out these 6 packets of cards. What they never mention is the number that they deal out. Now we assume that he's going to deal 6 cards onto all of these. Okay. Now I've got 7 cards here, but we're made to believe that we got 6 packets and each packet has 6 cards in, because she gets a choice of a number of 1 to 6. Now that leaves us with 10 cards, and you'll notice that Teller casually throws them to one side, again convincing us that it's a regular deck. Then we get into the part of the performance. By the way, at this point in the misdirection of swapping the pack, this gets circled as the chosen card, just there. Now she has that choice of any number, and to be honest, it doesn't matter which one, because whichever one she has, they're all the same cards. In her case, the 6 of spades. In mine, the 9 of spades. So it doesn't matter which she chooses. She chose a 4, and count to 4 here, and you'll notice that as Teller picks these up, it doesn't matter if he flashes the bottom of these, because they've got regular cards on. Okay, so he gathers all of these up and we can get rid of those. They then push this over to Sierra, and by the way, she chose one of these packets, I can't remember which, 3 or 4, it's one of those that she picks. But when you've done that, they push this over at fingertips and they ask her for a number 1 to 6, including 1 and 6. They make a point of saying you can have any number. We already discovered that is random. You can't control the number that she's choosing. She could have picked any number, doesn't matter, because the top 6 cards are all the same. How do I know there's 7 cards? Because she says a number. Now I can't remember what number it is, 5 I think. With her fingertip she pushes them off. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and when she takes the 5th card, these 2 cards spread. That's how we know there's 7 cards. She would never choose that regular card that we've got at the bottom of all of those 6 packets. So these are all gathered up out of the way for the final ending, that the 9 of spades is the random choice card. Everything about this routine is brilliant. It looks impossible, and it's called random. If you disagree with my interpretation of how this trick works, please put your ideas in the comments below, or let me know where I've gone wrong. I'm just guessing, I could be totally wrong, but I believe that that is how Random by Penn and Teller worked. And did they fool me? No, they didn't.